There are people in this country who genuinely believe the IRS is just a suggestion, like a terms and conditions box you can emotionally opt out of. These are the same financial masterminds who try to deduct their dog as a security system, their pool as a mental health investment, and their vacation to Vegas as a business conference, because they thought about work once near a blackjack table. It's not tax strategy, it's creative writing with consequences. And somehow, every single one of them is shocked when the government responds with the enthusiasm of a repo man at 6 a.m. But if you think that's peak stupidity, we're just getting warmed up. 1. I love starting with lottery winners because nothing exposes human decision-making faster than giving someone $30 million and zero supervision. Take the classic move, quitting your job in the most dramatic way possible, storming out like you're in a movie, only to realize 6 months later that your new full-time job is being asked for money by everyone you've ever met. One guy literally bought multiple houses for friends and family, like Oprah handing out cars, except without the income stream to support it. Within a few years, he was broke, confused, and probably Googling, "Can I return cousins?" It turns out money doesn't buy happiness, but it does fund your entire extended family's bad ideas until you're the only one left without a couch. 2. Then there's the genius strategy of announcing your lottery win to the entire planet. Press conference, giant check, big smile, basically a live broadcast that says, "Hi, I now have money and poor judgment." One winner did exactly that and was immediately surrounded by investment opportunities, which is a polite term for strangers pitching ideas that sound like Shark Tank rejected them for being too stupid. Within months, lawsuits, scams, and friends started piling up like spam emails. It's almost like telling the world you're rich attracts people who want your money. Shocking. The only thing more surprising is that these same winners are later confused when their accountant looks like they've been through a war. 3. My personal favorite, the guy who tried to use his lottery winnings to fund a lifestyle that can only be described as professional bad decisions. We're talking luxury cars, constant parties, and enough spending to make a celebrity financial advisor quietly weep. At one point, he was spending hundreds of thousands like it was loose change found in a couch. The problem? There was no couch. Eventually, the money ran out, and so did the friends, the parties, and the illusion that this was sustainable. It's amazing how fast living your best life turns into Googling how bankruptcy works when math finally shows up to the party. 4. Let's shift to inheritance disasters because nothing says family bonding like a will reading that turns into emotional warfare. I once read about siblings who spent years fighting over an inheritance that wasn't even that large. Legal fees alone probably cost more than what they were arguing about. But logic left the room early. Suddenly, people who shared childhood memories were treating each other like rival corporations in a hostile takeover. It's incredible how quickly "we're family" turns into "I will see you in court" over a slightly nicer dining table. Grandma didn't leave a legacy. She left a battlefield with paperwork. 5. And then there are the people who receive inheritance and immediately treat it like they've unlocked a cheat code to life. One guy inherited a decent sum and decided the smartest move was to invest it all into a can't-fail business idea because his friend said so. That business? A niche concept that made absolutely no sense outside of a late-night brainstorming session fueled by energy drinks and overconfidence. Within a year, the money was gone, the business was gone, and the friend was also mysteriously gone. It's almost poetic. Nothing bonds people faster than easy money, and nothing separates them faster than losing it. 6. Now let's talk taxes, where optimism meets reality in the worst possible way. Some people genuinely believe they can outsmart the IRS with logic that sounds like it came from a Reddit thread at 2 a.m. One man tried to argue that his personal expenses were business-related because he needed to maintain a certain lifestyle to stay motivated. That included vacations, luxury purchases, and things that screamed, "This is not how anything works." The IRS responded the way you'd expect, with paperwork so aggressive it might as well come with boss music. Turns out the government has heard every creative excuse before, and they're not impressed. 7. Credit cards are another masterpiece of human overconfidence. I've seen people treat their credit limit like it's a reward instead of a warning. One guy maxed out multiple cards buying things he didn't need, convinced he'd figure it out later. later arrived, and it brought interest rates that looked like they were designed by villains. Suddenly, that impulse purchase wasn't just expensive, it was financially haunting him, like a ghost that charges 24% APR. It's impressive, really. We invented a tool for convenience and somehow turned it into a long-term relationship with debt. 8. Vacation money mistakes deserve their own category because people lose all sense of reality the moment they see a beach. I've watched people spend thousands on trips they couldn't afford, telling themselves it's worth it for the experience. And yes, the experience is incredible, until you come home and realize your bank account looks like it went through a natural disaster. One couple literally financed a luxury vacation, which is a sentence that should come with a warning label. Nothing says relaxation like returning home to months of payments for a trip that lasted 5 days. 9. Then we have the get-rich-quick crowd, who treat investing like it's a slot machine with better branding. One guy dumped his savings into a scheme because someone online said it was guaranteed. That word alone should trigger alarms, but instead, it triggered a transfer of funds. Predictably, the investment disappeared faster than his confidence. It's fascinating how people will ignore every red flag if there's even a tiny chance of easy money. It's like watching someone walk into a trap labeled trap and saying, well, maybe this one's different. 10. I can't ignore the people who try to fake wealth to look successful, leasing luxury cars, renting expensive apartments, and posting it all online like they've cracked the code to life. Behind the scenes, it's a financial house of cards held together by minimum payments and denial. One wannabe millionaire was juggling so many bills just to maintain appearances that a single unexpected expense sent everything crashing down. It's the modern version of keeping up with the Joneses, except now the Joneses are also broke. They're just better at filters. 11. Back to taxes for a moment, because the creativity never stops. Someone once tried to claim their pet as a dependent, not a service animal, not a business asset, just a pet. Their logic? Emotional support, which, to be fair, is valid in life, but not in tax law. The IRS doesn't care if your dog listens to your problems. Unless that dog is filing paperwork and earning income, it's not getting you a deduction. It's amazing how people blur the line between emotional reasoning and legal reality. The government does not accept vibes as documentation. 12. Let's revisit inheritance, but this time with spending. Some people treat inherited money like it expires if they don't use it immediately. One person reportedly went on a spending spree so aggressive it looked like they were speedrunning financial ruin. Cars, gadgets, random purchases. It was less of a plan and more of a panic. Within a short time, the money was gone, and so was the illusion of security. It's almost like free money feels less real, so people spend it like it came from a video game instead of real-life consequences. 13. And just when you think it can't get any worse, there are people who borrow money to invest in something they don't understand. Let me repeat that. They take on debt to gamble on an idea they can't explain. One guy did exactly this, convinced he was making a smart move. When it failed, he didn't just lose money. He lost money he didn't even have. It's a special kind of confidence to go negative in pursuit of positive outcomes. Unfortunately, math does not reward optimism alone. 14. Credit card rewards programs are another trap disguised as a gift. People will spend more money just to earn points, which is like buying things you don't need to win a prize you didn't want. One person admitted they made unnecessary purchases just to hit a reward threshold, essentially paying extra to feel like they were saving. It's genius marketing, really. Convince people they're winning while they're actually spending more. The companies didn't outsmart consumers. Consumers volunteered for it. 15. Finally, we have the people who think budgeting is optional, not difficult, not annoying, optional. One individual earned a solid income, but never tracked expenses because it felt restrictive. What followed was a slow, confusing descent into financial chaos. Bills piled up, savings disappeared, and the mystery of where did my money go became a recurring theme. It's like refusing to look at your GPS while driving and then being shocked you're lost. Money doesn't vanish. It just quietly leaves while you're not paying attention. 16. I've seen people treat tax refunds like surprise winnings instead of what they actually are. Money they overpaid and are now politely getting back. But the reaction is always the same. Instant spending spree. One guy literally planned his refund like it was a bonus from the universe, pre-allocating it to gadgets, clothes, and a TV he absolutely did not need. The logic is flawless if you ignore reality. I didn't have this money yesterday, so it doesn't count today. Within weeks, it was gone, replaced by the same financial situation he had before, just with a slightly larger screen to watch it happen. It's amazing how quickly extra money turns into what money? When you treat it like found cash instead of your own paycheck coming back from a long, unnecessary vacation. 17. Then there's the classic move of co-signing a loan for someone because they're family or they promised. I always love the optimism here. One guy co-signed for a friend's car, fully believing this would strengthen their bond, and it did. Right up until the payment stopped and the calls started. Suddenly, he wasn't just emotionally invested, he was financially obligated to a car he didn't even drive. The friend disappeared like a magician, finishing a trick, and the bank remained. Very real, very consistent, and very interested in getting paid. It's a beautiful system. You take on all the risk. Someone else gets the car, and the only guaranteed relationship is the one you now have with debt collectors. 18. Let's talk about people who treat side hustles like they're one viral moment away from early retirement. I once watched someone pour money into a business selling highly specific, deeply unnecessary products because they were convinced it would blow up online. Spoiler, it did not blow up. It quietly sat there, ignored by the internet, like a forgotten tweet from 2012. Inventory piled up, expenses grew, and the only thing scaling was disappointment. The dream wasn't the problem. It was the assumption that effort automatically equals success. The internet isn't a magical marketplace. It's a crowded stadium where everyone is yelling, "Buy my thing," at the same time. 19. I've also noticed a special kind of financial confidence in people who refuse to read contracts. Not skim, refuse. One person signed up for a service with a free trial, ignoring the part where it clearly transitioned into a paid subscription that required actual cancellation. Months later, they were shocked that money had been leaving their account. It's always framed like a betrayal, as if the company snuck into their wallet at night. No, you just agreed to something and then forgot it existed. It's less of a scam and more of a long-term relationship with your own inattention. 20. And just when you think people can't misunderstand money any more creatively, we arrive at payday loans. These are marketed like helpful solutions, but function more like financial quicksand. One guy took a small loan to get through the week, which turned into a cycle of borrowing to repay borrowing. It's like trying to escape a hole by digging deeper, but with interest rates cheering you on. Before long, the original problem looked small compared to what it had become. It's not a safety net. It's a trampoline that only bounces you further into the problem. 21. I'm always fascinated by people who think budgeting means mentally estimating and hoping for the best. No tracking, no planning, just vibes. One person genuinely believed they were doing fine because they felt like they weren't overspending. Meanwhile, their bank account was slowly deteriorating like a neglected house. Bills would hit like jump scares, and every month ended with confusion. It's incredible how people trust their instincts with money, when those instincts are clearly just guessing in a confident tone. Financial awareness isn't restrictive. It's literally the only way to know what's happening. 22. Then we have the people who buy things specifically to impress people they don't even like. Expensive clothes, flashy gadgets, cars they can barely afford, all to maintain an image. One guy admitted he upgraded his entire lifestyle just to look successful, which is code for convince others I'm doing better than I am. The irony is that the people he was trying to impress were probably doing the exact same thing. It's like a group project where everyone is pretending to understand the assignment and no one actually does. 23. Let's not forget the brilliance of ignoring insurance because nothing bad will happen. This is always said with absolute confidence, like they've negotiated directly with fate. One person skipped insurance to save money, which worked perfectly until it didn't. When something finally went wrong, the cost wasn't just inconvenient, it was devastating. Suddenly, the money they saved looked microscopic compared to what they owed. It's a gamble where the reward is small and the risk is enormous, but people still play it like they've cracked the system. 24. I've also seen people lend money they can't afford to lose, which is basically turning generosity into self-sabotage. One guy loaned a significant amount to a friend with a handshake agreement and good intentions. Months passed, excuses piled up, and repayment became a vague concept rather than a real plan. The friendship strained, the money vanished, and now he had both a financial loss and an emotional one. Lending money without clear terms is less of a favor and more of a gamble disguised as kindness. 25. And then there's the phenomenon of retail therapy, where spending money is treated like emotional healing. I understand the idea, buy something, feel better, but the math doesn't cooperate. One person regularly shopped to cope with stress, creating a cycle where spending caused more stress, which then required more spending. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline, but at least you get new shoes out of it, temporarily anyway. Long term, it's just expensive coping. 26. Some people treat retirement like a distant myth, something that will magically solve itself later. One guy openly admitted he wasn't saving because that's a future problem. The future, of course, arrived exactly on schedule, and it brought consequences. It's amazing how we trust time to fix things when time is literally the thing that makes them worse if ignored. Planning for later isn't exciting, but neither is working forever because you assumed everything would just work out. 27. Then there are people who chase trends in investing like they're following fashion. One minute it's one hot asset, the next minute it's something else, always buying high and selling low with incredible consistency. I watched someone jump into an investment purely because it was popular, with zero understanding of what it actually was. When it dropped, panic set in, and they sold immediately, locking in the loss. It's like running into a burning building because everyone else is there, then being surprised when it's hot. 28. I can't ignore subscription overload, the quiet financial leak no one notices until it's too late. One person signed up for so many services they lost track entirely. Streaming, apps, memberships, it all seemed small individually. Together, it was a steady drain that added up to something significant. When they finally reviewed their expenses, it was like discovering a room full of things they didn't even remember buying. It's death by 1,000 tiny charges, each one politely asking for just a little more. 29. Some people believe working more automatically solves spending problems, which is optimistic but incomplete. One guy increased his income significantly, but somehow still struggled financially. Why? Because his spending scaled with his earnings like it was part of the deal. More money didn't fix anything. It just funded bigger mistakes. It turns out the problem wasn't how much he earned, it was how much he kept. Income can grow, but if discipline doesn't grow with it, nothing really changes. 30. And just when you think the logic can't get any more creative, there are people who ignore bills until they feel emotionally ready to deal with them. One person literally avoided opening mail because it was stressful, as if unopened bills somehow paused reality. They don't. They just quietly escalate. By the time everything was finally addressed, the situation had evolved from manageable to overwhelming. Avoidance doesn't solve problems. It just gives them time to grow into something far worse. 31. Finally, we arrive at the ultimate financial illusion, believing you'll start being responsible once you have more money. I've heard this so many times it almost sounds reasonable, until you realize it never actually happens. One person kept postponing good habits, waiting for the perfect moment when everything would be easier. That moment never came. Instead, the same patterns repeated at every income level. It's not about having more. It's about doing better with what you already have. And if you think this is where the stupidity peaks, congratulations, you've underestimated people again. So, there you have it. An entire highlight reel of people treating money like it's imaginary until reality shows up with interest, fees, and a very disappointed tone. Somehow, every single decision made perfect sense, right up until it didn't. Now, I'm curious. Which one deserves the title of absolute financial genius? Drop your pick in the comments, or, better yet, confess the dumbest money move you've ever seen or made. And if you're feeling slightly better about your own decisions right now, go ahead, like, and subscribe. Clearly, you've earned it.